Hey folks, the time has come. Welcome to another day, another unboxing of the long-awaited and highly rated Pixel 6, Pixel 6 Pro. Here we go. So these are the colors I picked. These are my review units from Google. I've got the sort of seafoam here and sort of sunny here. I believe those are the colors. Cool little side note, by the way, the sides of the box are color-coded, as you can see here. So that's pretty nice. There you go. You can see that here, the names and everything. All right, so we're going to open these up one at a time, and I'll walk you through all the details, all right, like we always do. So let's start with the Pixel 6 Pro. Here we go. Okay, like all Pixels, there's a little tab here, another little tab, and then we've got the Pixel 6. Let's do that as well. A tab here. Tab here. All right, now we're ready to open these up. So, see if I can do this one-handed. Oh yeah, that is very nice. So we've got the phones right here, and immediately you can feel this is glass, which is great news. Here we go, folks. Okay, in the box, I'm not going to take any of this out. You can see it clearly here. Got USB Type-C cable, Type-C to Type-C, right? Both ends. And then we've got a USB Type-A to Type-C adapter, both boxes. And then, of course, we've got some documentation here. I'll take one of those out so we can have a look at it. All right, so here we go. We've got a little Google thing, safety warranty, and a SIM removal tool. Here's what this looks like. All right, I'm not doing the other one. You get the idea. All right, so now we know what's in the box. What's missing here is a charger. And these phones actually charge up to 30 watt, which is great. It's a big improvement. And 23 watt wireless charging and 21 watt. 21 watt for the 6 and 23 watt for the 6 Pro. So, you know, that's the other thing. You do not get any sacrifices on little features, like wireless charging isn't missing. Now, before we start, really, I want to remind everyone the pricing here. About $600 for the Pixel 6 and $900 for the Pixel 6 Pro. And they're very similar. The only big differences between them is that the Pro here has a bigger display with a higher resolution, a higher refresh rate, and a telephoto lens in addition to the other two ultra-wide and main lenses. And also a slightly better, in terms of resolution, front camera. But you're going to say, where are the $300? Well, you know, that display and that camera are very expensive, and that's what you're seeing here, I think. And you know, the other differences, of course, are battery size, 4600 for the 6, 5000 for the 6 Pro. So let's get rid of these boxes real quick and look at the phones, all right? I'll walk you through them. So there they are. Let's start with the Pixel 6 Pro. And let me actually remove this. Ooh, fancy. And as you can see here on the edges, you have power lock key, volume rocker, and then on the bottom here you have one of the two speakers. It says stereo speakers, USB Type-C port, microphones probably under here. You can see antenna bands because this is made of this polished metal edge, right? This could be stainless steel. Then here on the left-hand side you have, again, just antenna bands and the SIM slot. There's no micro SD here. And on top you've got a plastic window here for the millimeter wave antenna. That's another difference. The Pixel 6 Pro has a millimeter wave 5G in addition to sub-6 5G. So here is the microphone, secondary microphone on top. So let's fire this up and take a look at this gorgeous display. As you can see, very little bezel here, right? All right, now let's walk through the Pixel 6 real quick. To kick off this front cover here, and more importantly, what I want to do is fire it up as well so we can see the difference in screen bezels. So you can see a lot more bezel here, right? Look at them side by side. Okay, this little thing that's bouncing up and down here, every time it touches the bottom here, you can feel some haptic feedback. It's really, really cool. It's hard to explain. And look at the color coordination. So again here, color coordination, and every time this little cloud-like thing here bounces down, I can feel it vibrate very faintly. And these are linear motors. I can tell they're super high quality, like, you know, very precise kind of haptic feedback. All right, so let's walk you through the edges on the 6 right now. We've got a power lock key again, a volume rocker at the bottom, same stuff. You've got one of the 2 speakers, USB Type-C, and the microphone behind one of these. The left-hand side has the SIM slot, no micro SD. Antenna bands, again, you can see this is metal, but this is some sort of anodized aluminum on this one. And on top here, you've got the secondary microphone. And as you notice, there is no antenna window for the millimeter wave since this doesn't have it. So now let's look at the back, right? The cameras, and let's walk through those real quick. Okay, so you got 2 cameras in the back of the Pixel 6. This is the 6. You got a 50 megapixel f/1.9 main camera with 1.2 micron pixels pinned together 4:1, which means that you basically get 2.4 micron pixels and OIS. So at f/1.9 on a 50 megapixel sensor, yeah, that's going to gather a lot of light and be really super awesome. And so, by the way, this is the same sensor, as far as I can tell, that's used on the Vivo X60 Pro Plus. It is a Samsung sensor, and a good one at that. The ultrawide is a 12 megapixel f/2.2 with 1.25 microns, so they're again pretty decent pixel size, and 114 degree of field of view. Now there's a dual LED flash back here and some other sensors. I believe there's laser autofocus here. So that's what you see. And here, as you can see, the shiny. Now you're probably wondering about the thickness of this camera pod. Well, here you go. You know, it's quite something. Not gonna lie. But I do love the seafoam green accent. This is a really nice color. All right, so that's for the Pixel 6. Let's take a look at the Pixel 6 Pro here in terms of cameras. We got 3 cameras here, right? The same main sensor, 50 megapixel, f/1.9, 1.2 micron pixel bins to 2.4, OIS, laser autofocus. Obviously, these have omnidirectional phase detect autofocus, right? Now the ultra wide is the same, 12 megapixel, f/2.2, 1.25 micron pixels with 114 degree field of view. But this, as you can see here from that window right there, there is a 4x periscope folded lens. That's a telephoto. It is a 48 megapixel sensor, f/3.5 with 0.8 micron pixels. So they get pixel bins 4:1 to 1.6 microns. So you get 1.6 micron pixels on that 48 megapixel sensor that, you know, outputs 12 megapixel. Of course, it has OIS on the telephoto. And so as you can see, this entire camera system is probably pretty pricey because it's a folded lens, OIS, 48 megapixel sensor, you know, yeah. So that's pretty cool. And then the camera bump on this one, again, is quite significant. But, you know, that's to be expected these days. If you want good imaging, you're going to need some Z-depth, thickness. All right, and there you go. You can see the glass and that sort of sunny pinkish accent on top. And yeah, it's beautifully done. So again, these are powered by Google's own chip that was co-designed with Samsung, and they use a Samsung 5G modem, the 5123 modem that's used on the Galaxy S20 and S21. This is probably an evolution of the Exynos 2100 chip that Samsung uses on the S21 in Europe. It's a 5 nanometer chip, but it's custom made for Google. It's called the Tensor chip. It has a lot of machine learning AI, TPU type cores that are optimized for, again, machine learning and AI. So that's interesting. In terms of storage, Pixel 6 gets 8 gigs of RAM with either 128 or 256 gigs of storage. Pixel 6 Pro gets 12 gigs of RAM with either 128, 256 or 512 gigs of storage. I'm going to turn them over so you can have a quick look at how beautiful they are, but I do have to hold them because it's slightly sloped here. Now notice, this is a $600 phone, folks, right? And it has wireless charging, it has a metal frame and a glass back, it has OIS on the main camera. I'm pointing that out because this year, OnePlus on the OnePlus 9 decided to go with a plastic frame. And with no OIS on the main sensor, which is a really good main sensor, the IMX766 from Sony, but they decide to cheap out, and this is just not acceptable. Their phone is more expensive, even though it's on sale right now. So you know, this is out OnePlusing OnePlus in terms of pricing, basically. It's even outplussing Samsung. It's better in terms of specs and pricing than last year's Galaxy S20 FE, the fan edition, which we all loved as one of the best phones, but it didn't have a lot of RAM, it had a plastic back. So, you know, this is about the same price point. So, of course, Samsung could make a Galaxy S21 fan edition this year, but they haven't yet. So, all right. Anyway, Pixel 6, Pixel 6 Pro, you know, we got wireless charging on both, 30-watt wired charging, 4,600 milliamp hour, 5,000 milliamp hour. You get an extra telephoto on this. You get a better screen. Again, we're looking at these two displays, which are 6.4 inch, 90 hertz versus 6.7 inch, 120 hertz with slightly curved edges, as you can see here. And basically, you know, there's a lot more bezel on the Pixel 6, but it kind of reminds me of the HTC 8X Windows Phone back in the day. See that? That design is very square, very rectangular, but definitely more bezel and definitely no curved edges. Very slightly curved, but it's there, you can see it. So quickly, I wanted to talk about the front cameras. The 6 here has a 8 megapixel f/2.0, which is a wide lens, not like a main lens, with 1.12 micron pixels. It's pretty much similar to the previous Pixel front-facing cameras. But what's interesting about the Pro is that it has an ultra-wide selfie camera. It's 11.1 megapixels f/2.2 with 1.22 micron pixels. So technically, this is a better selfie camera on the Pro. Not by much, but it does also support 4K 30 video recording, which the 6 does not support. So keep that in mind. All right, so that's it essentially for the guts of it. There's an in-display fingerprint sensor. There's stereo speakers. No micro SD. There is wireless charging and NFC. All the things you'd expect on a modern phone. Metal and glass. You know, really, I think Google outdid themselves here. Oh, and before I forget, we got a couple of cases to look at. So let's check that out. We got a case here for the Pixel 6 and one for the Pixel 6 Pro. So this is the Pixel 6 case. And I believe this is the seafoam one as well. So it's slightly greenish and goes on the Pixel 6. And then we've got a Pixel 6 Pro case here. I believe I got the white one, the translucent one. So let's have a look at that real quick, shall we? All right, here we go. We've got this case. And yeah, it's translucent white, which is fine. And that's for the Pixel 6 Pro. So let me just quickly put them on so you can see what they look like. There we go. That's the Pixel 6 Pro. Sorta sunny with the white translucent case. And then we've got the Pixel 6 Seafoam with, I believe, the Seafoam matching case. So you double the Seafoam goodness. There we go. It's makes it a little darker. But, ta-da! I hope you enjoyed this quick unboxing, folks. Stay tuned. I'll be covering the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro on the podcast extensively this week. I already did discuss it quite a bit on this past podcast this past week. So now that I have them, I can actually speak with a little more authority about them, and you should stay tuned to the podcast. Remember, this channel is a supplement to my podcast at mobiletechpodcast.com. We're on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Spotify, everywhere good podcasts can be found. And also remember to like, subscribe, tell your friends, click the notification bell below so you get to know when I do new videos. And there's a Patreon. If you want to help and support me, support the podcast, patreon.com/TNKGRL. There's some good perks in there. You can get the podcast on video exclusively on Patreon ahead of schedule, ahead of the audio-free public version. So check that out. It's also unedited, so you get all the little banter and stuff. It's fun. Yeah, stay tuned. I'll have more videos soon. And until then, folks, cheers, everybody.